On Working Week this week, we take a look at what it's like to work at one of Nottingham's biggest employers.
We've got some fantastic officers and some brilliant people.
It's a good feeling to know that you're helping out.
And we'll be meeting a woman who set up her own business after being made redundant and burgled.
I think the worst bit is kind of getting to know myself as an employee of myself.
And Des will be finding out what was your best job ever.
Probably working in a care home.
Why?
Don't know, it's rewarding, isn't it?
Hello, I'm Rob Pittham.
And I'm Des Coleman.
All that to come, but first,
Let's hear from a woman who was burgled, made redundant, but still managed to set up her own business.
Unfortunately, in March of this year, NHS Direct was closed by the government and I was made redundant.
It was an unexpected push into self-employment for Jo Katie Welsh.
It was a very difficult time for all of us at work and we were very sad to leave each other. We were a very bonded team and good at what we did, and it was a shame really to let those skills go. I was a complex health, information and medicines advisor, but I'm a creative. That I think I'm always an artist and a photographer first before I'm anything else, and of course a mother. So if you just sit on the chair.
After being made redundant from the NHS and having her home burgled, Jo decided to start again and set up her own photography and creative art business.
Okay, that's looking good already. So yes, it was a difficult time, but also using the anxiety of that, turning it into excitement and creating something strong and possible with the situation of redundancy. Gorgeous, thank you. I used any resources that I had financially. Unfortunately, I got burgled in February and they took some expensive jewellery, which was really sad. And instead of taking the vouchers that you can sometimes get, I chose to take the money. So I've used that to fund the studio, which is much nicer than wearing jewellery, I have to say. I think if we get you with a rolling pin, it's quite hard, isn't it? Rolling pin and cake. But
Not that ambition has ever really been a problem for the former Commonwealth Games competitor.
Cool. That looks so great. I swam for Nova Centurion and I was coached by Bill Furness, who also coached Rebecca Adlington. That was a very strong time in my life as well. It was a time that I remember being very empowered as a person, and I think I'm definitely drawing on that again now. It's looking really good, Jake. Yeah. It does keep me up late at night. I do stay up editing photos and working on my website into the early hours at the moment, but I'm hoping I'll pin that back and go to bed on time soon. So what I want you to do, if you can do, if you bring the rolling pin up towards the tin hat again. I have to be my own best friend. I have to be a real good employee and a great employer, because there's only the two of us. Yeah, that's it. Fab.
And now,
There you go, Jake and his cake.
there's no looking back.
When I was in the Market Square promoting my work, I was getting a lot of inquiries from mums with either young families or grown-up families that want to mark this time, as a family. So at the moment, that's what I'm getting.
And what's been the best bit so far?
I feel that I'm really living from my authentic self. So I'm being very authentic. So I'm not just going to work and doing admin or an office job. I'm actually really thinking about what it is I want to give to the world. Who am I? What is it I really do? How do I really want to make a living? And that's really exciting. And if you want more direct contact with your audience, if you look into the centre of the lens, you'll see there's a little circle in the centre. Yeah. Okay, so make eye contact with everybody. Brilliant.
Jo says she could not have set up on her own without the help from Nottingham Business Ventures.
I'm just going to move the light very slightly.
They provide a wide range of free business support, including one-to-one mentorship, tax advice and seminars, including getting ready for business.
The whole idea of why you're here today is to get you into the right state to start a business. It's a bit like taking a plunge into the unknown. And to be honest, having been in business for 3 years now, because I've also got my own little business, it's fair to say it's one of the most challenging things you'll ever do. We talk about planning, we talk about research, we talk about developing the idea. The whole course throughout the day also sort of mentions sales and marketing, how to win customers, and more than anything else, the whole idea is to make sure that they've actually got the bare bones of putting together a strong business plan by the end of the day.
My name is Danielle. My business idea is to open a catering business with my family.
I'm hoping to set up a business making and selling like cushions and bags and stuff.
To start a dog treat bakery.
A chimney service business.
You get all sorts of people coming onto these courses, all sorts of variety of ideas, and the first 15-20 minutes in the course is usually quite enlightening because you get to hear all those ideas. You name it, I've probably heard that kind of business idea before.
What would be your key piece of business advice?
I would say one of the most important things you need to do is to get yourself organised. One of the biggest problems and biggest challenges to most small businesses is wearing all the different hats that they have to wear. You've just got to make sure that you've got the bases covered, and there's always naturally areas where some people are stronger and they tend to concentrate on those, or areas that immediately we can see look like they're going to make you money. So sales and marketing, people concentrate a lot on that, but then they might forget their legals and end up becoming stuck somewhere down the line because they didn't have their insurances in place. So we try to make sure that they've got a good balance, and NBV is very good at making sure, with lots of experience that they've got, that everybody has actually got all the angles covered.
Some pretty useful advice there, but now it's time for some business news.
Yeah, let's cross to the Nottingham Post newsroom and hear from the paper's business editor, Richard Baker.
It's been a week of fairly well-known people in business in our office, and one of the most well-known of all was David Cameron, the Prime Minister. Now, Mr Cameron's obviously been in the headlines for all sorts of reasons in the last week. Some of those headlines you'll probably want to forget, but he had a decent time when he visited our office. Now, he came here to have a chat about politics and economics. Obviously, there's an election not so far away now, and he wants to know what's going on in the regions. Now, one of the things he spoke to us about was Nottingham Enterprise Zone, and this is a part of the city that's been set up to try and attract new businesses by giving them particular types of incentives. And there's an awful lot of space on the old Boots site at Lenton which they want new companies to move into. Now, Mr Cameron came to Nottingham 3 years ago with Nick Clegg to announce the new Nottingham Enterprise Zone, and what's happened in that time? Not a lot. We haven't really seen any new development, and Mr Cameron, when he came and spoke to us, was getting a bit frustrated at the lack of progress. The organisation which is responsible for Nottingham Enterprise Zone is the Local Enterprise Partnership. We spoke to them afterwards and they told us that one of the reasons why there hasn't been a lot of development is there's been a recession. Businesses don't want to expand, so we've just got to wait and be patient. But Mr Cameron maybe isn't so patient because obviously he can see votes in developments like this. Another well-known name is Theo Paphitis, that will know Theo obviously from his appearances on TV Dragon's Den, where he balls out those people with daft business ideas. In Nottingham, it turns out there's a business idea that he likes, a lady called Caroline Driver. She designed something called Justifit, which is a sleep suit for little kids, which can fit children of any size. Now, Theo really liked this idea. He gave her a big mention on his social media website, which has got 400,000 followers. And the result of that was that in the space of one day, she sold as many of these sleep suits as she normally does in a week. So good for her. Finally, not celebrities, but celebrity lifestyle, and what I guess will be the last celebrity lifestyle purchase that anybody makes. It's a coffin. These American-style coffins, which leave your dear departed on display, they've never been sold over here because they don't meet UK regulations, but Eastwood Funeral Partnership has now redesigned these coffins so that they do fit the requirements of the UK market. I guess if the two certainties in life are death and taxes, this is a business which is going to fly.
You've probably passed it 1,000 times on your way into home base or maybe into the city centre through the obligatory tramworks, of course. This is the Cube. It's one of half a dozen buildings owned by Experian dotted around the city. Let's take a look and see what happens inside. Well, James Jones is Head of Consumer Affairs at Experian. And James, just tell me what goes on in this building then? What happens here?
Well, this is Landmark House. This is one of our 6 sites in Nottingham. We employ approaching 3,000 people in Nottingham, and it is kind of our spiritual home. This particular building, we've got several hundred people who do a variety of jobs, including a lot of people from our decision analytics division, which essentially are the cleverest people I think we employ. These are the guys that turn the data that we look after into insight and decisions. So the obvious example really is turning the information on our credit reports into scores that banks and lenders use to help them decide what credit we can get.
People will see in this place, they'll know you've got all these sites around Nottingham, but not many people will know perhaps that you're a worldwide operating company. Give me an idea of the scale of your operations.
Well, yeah, we've got offices all over the world. I mean, corporate headquarters here in Nottingham, in California, in the States, and also in Sao Paulo in Brazil. And we have about 12,000 people around the world serving clients in, to be honest, most countries in the world. So we are, a huge organisation these days.
How important is Nottingham to your operation then?
Well, Nottingham is our spiritual home, certainly in relation to the kind of UK branch of our history. We were set up here by the former catalogue empire Great Universal Stores as their internal credit checking network, but then quite quickly other banks and lenders decided to join in that data sharing. It's grown from there, so over the years we've started to do marketing and analytics and all sorts of stuff sort of around the core data that we originally started to host in 1980.
And you're going to hate me saying this, but it kind of reminds me a bit of like Del Boy with his London, Paris, Peckham, and you've got Sao Paulo, California, and Nottingham. How does that go down with the people that you work with in other parts of the world when they hear about Nottingham?
Well, I mean, we're incredibly proud of our roots in Nottingham, and to be honest, Nottingham sells itself. Robin Hood, Brian Clough, Nottingham Forest, it is a world-famous city, so we don't have to do a huge job to sell it. But saying that, when they come, they're generally quite impressed, and certainly with the setup we have here, we've got some fantastic officers and some brilliant people.
And what does that mean for jobs in the future then?
We're constantly recruiting. We're a big employer in the city, and I'm sure we'll continue to recruit and provide opportunities for people.
Well, that's it for now, but we'll be back in the second half.
Well, we'll be hearing from the people at Experian, finding out what it's like to work there.
Unless you work for Experian, they don't really understand it and know how big it is.
And we'll have the latest jobs news direct from the Nottingham Jobs Centre.
We get on average for Nottinghamshire between 1,000 and 2,000 jobs come through every week.
See you in a few minutes. Hi, and welcome back to Working Week.
And in this half, we'll be meeting the people who actually work at Experian and find out what it's like to have a job there.
We use the information and the analytics that we do to make the world a better place.
And we'll be hearing latest jobs news from the Nottingham Jobs Centre.
The real growth sectors we've got within Nottingham at the moment are around the health and social care sector. We've got huge amounts of vacancies, so if someone's looking to move into employment and that's in that sector, they can pretty much move in straight away.
And Des will be finding out what's the best job and what's the worst job you've ever had.
I don't think I've had a worse job. Being unemployed, I think, was the worst bit.
It's all earning money, isn't it, I guess? So you've got to do whatever brings cash in.
All that to come, but first let's get back to Experian. We've heard from the company, now let's meet some of the people who work for it and find out what it's like for them to be employed by one of Nottingham's biggest companies. 3,000 people work for Experian across 6 sites spread over Nottingham. They include local boy Kevin Miles, who works in the company's department for helping victims of identity theft.
We deal with victims of fraud, people that have had accounts set up in their name, applications made in their name, even addresses linked to them that they have no idea of.
So someone's stolen their identity and is now using it to get credit?
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, people don't even realise that that's happened until they go for like a mortgage or check the report on the off chance.
And what state are the people in when they come to you then?
A lot of people are quite worried, quite nervous, because a lot of them have things like mortgages, loans riding on this. And obviously it's the shock of being a victim of fraud as well. So yeah, a little bit worried, a bit anxious, and it's up to us to deal with that and try and resolve it.
Firms like Experian are important for providing graduate level jobs here in the city. So how did you get the job? What were you doing before that?
Before that I was at university in Leeds. I came back home to Nottingham and I thought I'd take this job as like a stopgap measure. The degree I did was in sports science, so it was far away from fraud as you can be, really. And it was just progressing through the company that I thought that's a better option for me.
Not quite graduates yet, but on their way. Alex and Charlotte have been taken on by Experian to study for a business degree at Trent University, whilst also working for the company. Alex and Charlotte, just tell me what your role is at the moment. What are you actually doing here?
So my role, I work for background checking, which is pre-employment vetting, and also for tenants. So for landlords, if they want to check a tenant or a prospective tenant. So it's like the product team. So I work on enhancing the product, dealing with queries and doing different stuff in my day-to-day role, which is great because it varies so much, it always keeps it interesting.
And what are you doing, Charlotte? What's your job?
I'm in commercial operations, so I'm not based in this building, I'm based in town. Is more customer service and we swap around more, so I do 6 months rotations around all that building, so I kind of get an understanding of the whole building as opposed to Alex's rotations, which are 18 months, so they're longer.
And you're both students as well, aren't you? So how does that work? What are you doing study-wise?
So we go to uni, so we're doing a degree in 3 years, and at the same time we have a full-time job. So we're doing our degree in business management and leadership.
What's it like combining being a student with having a full-time job as well?
So we've got study blocks, which are week-long periods where we'll learn, often a term's work for normal students, so it is quite hectic.
What we learn in the week, then we have to go away and find the people to talk to Experian and apply what we learn at uni to Experian. So we have to find people and talk to them and ask about that topic. So we find out a lot about the business. So after our 3 years, hopefully stay on at Experian, and we'll have a lot of knowledge about the company because of the degree that we've done.
Compiling and analysing data about all of us is at the core of Experian's work. The firm's Mosaic programme tots up information to come up with a profile of the kind of people who live in every street in the country.
This is a map of Nottingham. Each one of these little squares is a postcode, and we can see at a lower level, at household level, or in this case at postcode level, what type of neighbourhood each of them is.
So do the colours represent how much money they've all got?
Well, yeah, amongst other things, it's a mixture of things. It's what sort of house do they live in, it's level of affluence or the lack of it, it's whether they've got kids or not. But it's related to lots of other things in terms of the types of jobs they do, the types of cars they drive.
How do you compile all this? What's it all based on?
It puts together about 500 different sets of data. So part of it is the census, but we pool a whole host of other data sets together in terms of what type of houses they are and all type of information. But by being able to put lots of stuff together, it gives you a really good picture. So you can see in the centre of town here with this sort of brownie colour here, these are all the students. And this purple patch in the middle here, where I'm waving the little hand there, that's the park.
Of course, programmes like this, which are based on personal details about all of us, have a hint of Big Brother about them. So how does Experian respond to claims that it's all, well, a bit sinister?
Well, we do hold a lot of information, and some of it's quite personal information, but we do that in a very responsible way. We spend a lot of time, effort and money safeguarding the information we hold, both in terms of physical security and IT security, and at the same time we look very closely at what we do with information to make sure we're doing the right thing. And there are lots of great examples of how we use the information and the analytics that we do to make the world a better place.
Here on Working Week, we like to bring you all the latest business news and jobs news too. I'm actually at the Job Centre on Station Street. The staff are just getting ready to open up to the public for the day. And these places really have moved with the times. For example, over there is the office IT suite that's available for the public to use. They're going to get Wi-Fi through this building as well. And right across here is the hub of where it all works if you're looking for a job. This is a job point. It's interactive, so if you come on this, you can find jobs right across Nottinghamshire. Let's try latest local jobs. Continue today's local job. Let's try this week's local jobs. Start search straight away. These are all coming up. Let's have a look at this one. This is going to be solar salespeople. So this is a full-time job by the look of it for solar salespeople across Nottingham, earning looks like £450 a week. And if you like the look at that, well, you just press the print button. And so there's the job, and if you're interested, want to take it further, go across and see one of the consultants, or take it home and give them a call yourself. So let's find out a little bit more about how this place actually works and what jobs are available at the moment. Here's Andy Madeley, who's a manager here.
Some of the new initiatives that we've got that are really great are the wage incentive, first of all, which is specifically focused on our 18 to 24-year-olds. So an 18 to 24-year-old who is 6 months unemployed is actually eligible for a wage incentive, which is £2,275, which is paid to an employer who recruits that young person. So it's a scheme to help employers recruiting young people and help our longer-term unemployed customers back into employment. It's a great scheme, a lot of demand on it at the moment, it's being used quite frequently. I just want to get out there and get it sold as much as we can. We've got loads of initiatives going at the moment. Specifically one that we're doing a lot at the moment is around our sector-based work academies. It's a great opportunity for people who are interested in moving back into work to go through a three-stage approach. The first one is some vocational training linked into the employer that's very sector-specific. The second one is some work experience with that employer, so they can actually get a feel for what the job involves. The third one is that they get a guaranteed job interview with that employer. So the beauty of it is that the employer gets to see the individual over a longer period of time, and for the individual who might not be very good at interviews, they get to prove themselves over a longer period of time to that employer. Within the Universal Job Match website, we get on average for Nottinghamshire between 1,000 and 2,000 jobs come through every week that are notified to us on our website. So people who aren't registered need to go onto the website, get registered and get all the notifications that come through. So the real growth sectors we've got within Nottingham at the moment are around the health and social care sector. We've got huge amounts of vacancies, so if someone's looking to move into employment and it's in that sector, they can pretty much move in straight away. We've also got a lot of construction projects happening within the city as well at the moment. We've got the Victoria Centre renovation happening, we've got the Southglade Park and university sites that are also looking to be redeveloped. Lots of opportunities there, and there's a lot of retail opportunities opening up as well. We've got the Co-op, which is opening up in Clifton, we've got a new Aldi that's opening within the city, we've got the Sainsbury's that's looking to be developed over on the east side of Nottingham. So there's quite a lot going off at the moment around the city and retail.
And so anyone watching this who is out of work, what's your advice to them? What should they be doing right now?
If they're not registered in employment benefit, they need to come down and register straight away, because then they've got access to all the schemes and the support and the funding that's available to help people. If they are registered, if they're interested in any of the opportunities we have, come down, speak to your local advisor, see what's happening locally and get put onto the opportunities that we've got.
That was Andrew Madeley from Station Street Job Centre. I'm here in Hucknall to ask people what their favourite jobs are. What's the best job you've ever had?
Probably working in a care home.
Why?
I don't know, it's rewarding, isn't it? You get a lot of rewards from it. It's just nice.
The best job I ever had was working for British Coal, and I worked there for 18 years.
Why was it so good?
Just a great atmosphere, good job, good pay, good superannuation scheme, excellent training.
Well, the best job I've had was in the Armed Forces. I was a chef there, and I'm still a chef today in public life.
I was working with PC World tech guys, repairing computers, diagnosing them and that. So yeah, that was probably my best job.
What's the best job you've ever had?
I was a care manager.
Oh, right. Yes. And
that was a really fulfilling job. Okay. Best job ever. It's doing something I love, meeting loads of people and looking after the elderly.
Duncan and I have just popped in here to get a cup of tea, but I've come across Fatima. Fatima, what would be your favourite job?
My favourite job, it was a teacher, to become a teacher, but I couldn't do that, you know, so it's too late now.
The worst job, working for a solicitor in Nottingham. That
Why?
was dreadful because it was conveyancing and very, very boring.
Where I'm working now at IKEA in London, terrible. Just pure manual graft.
I don't think I've had a worse job. Being unemployed, I think, was the worst bit.
Sergey, you're the curate here. Now, what is your perfect job?
Perfect job, that's a very good question. Perhaps, if I'm honest with you, this one would be my perfect job. Before becoming ordained, before becoming a priest, I've tried a few things, but always came back to same stuff, reading Bible, praying for people, doing things which, you know, Christian ministers would do. So, in a sense, you know, this job would be the best ever I could ever dream about.
It's amazing what happens when you talk to people in the street. I mean, a Catholic priest, that's amazing.
Certainly right.
And talking of jobs, you've worked here at the Playhouse, haven't you?
I certainly have, mate. They wanted me to put 2 to 1, but I said my name isn't Desmond, it's Desu.
Oh, very good. I bet you've used that a few times. So next week we'll be back. I'll be in my jacket. Des will be in a tutu. See you then.